Hello, everyone. Today we are sitting with Donna Baker-Gilroy and David Gilroy, and I want to talk to them about their book, Transforming Relationships, Come As You Are.
We tried to dress up just like the fur.
That picture was 17 years old, but we've changed a little bit.
A little, not much. So tell me, what inspired you to write this book?
We have a lot of stories about this book. One of our passions was working with couples, and we were both in a doctoral program at Graduate Theological Foundation, and we needed to come up with a project. And what we decided was to write a book, and we were able to do a joint project. And which was an amazing experience that we not only were writing a book we wanted to write, we were also getting academic credit for it. Um, so that's how we were the beginnings of it.
We we've always done, I think, mostly individual work, individual therapy, but a fair amount of also doing some couples work. And so we had already built up a fair amount of experience working with couples by this time. And we wanted to put together what we knew about it as another step for us to step into feeling um, like experts on the subject.
One thing I want to emphasize at the beginning is when you write a book, you cannot do that alone. There are so many people that go into the writing of a book. And it was a pretty amazing learning curve for both of us. Not only sitting down and going through, mm, putting down on paper what we wanted to say, but having people read it initially, read different chapters, then have things edited. And we found a woman that helped us put our thoughts together in a more cohesive way. And so the a book is a result of many people. Um, I guess beginning with our training, becoming a therapist and working with couples, right down to having a product at the end of it. So that's always impressed me that you can't do it alone. It takes a lot of people.
So we wrote some of it at HFI. We wrote some of it at our house. We wrote some of it at RJ Julia bookstore.
Yeah. Now remember back then it was technology wasn't what it is now. So we didn't have uh I think we typed some of it. Were we doing some of that?
I think so.
You know, so technology was very, very different. And we'd sit at RJ Julia. We went to Simsbury Library
Mhm.
and home.
Mhm.
I re- a thing that comes to me about technology, um, the way I guess I had typed it into the computer and didn't realize that how that would come out was not the way I had typed it in. And we discovered this last minute before we had to get the beginnings of the writing to our school. We had a deadline. And luckily, my daughter was a computer expert and she was able to format it and put it in the right. I had typed it in correctly, but then when you go to print that out, it did also, it did its own thing. So she saved the day. And I think in the beginnings of the book, I mentioned that uh, having Michelle's expertise.
Michelle saved our butts.
She did.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me, What did you learn about each other as you wrote this book?
I would say one of our main experiences from this, um, we reached a point, I think I forget which chapter, whether it's perhaps chapter 4. It was about when things start to come apart in a relationship,
Mhm.
and we were having a terrible time. We started fighting, we couldn't agree on anything, and then the light went on, it dawned on us, we're living what we're writing.
Because when the fighting got the worst was when we were writing a chapter about
Yeah, that's
Death Lair.
Ah.
and when things come apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so once it once we were conscious of how much we were living what we were writing, that really shifted things.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the next chapter where things come back together that was a real easy chapter. Things went quite smoothly.
And to answer your question about what do we learn from each other,
Yeah.
I really learned what a good writer Donna is.
Well, what I, w- to go along with that, David comes up with ideas, and I can take his ideas
Mhm.
and put them into a form of expression. So we really, what we learned is how, what a team we are. And we had a great time writing the book. In fact, we had started school working on our doctorate. And at the time, we were very involved in, because our Hartford family, we purchased a new building. And David and I were very involved in the restoration of that building. And school was too much. So we decided to stop. And because it was too stressful. And then 2 years went by. And all of a sudden, at the same time, we said, I think we're ready to go back.
We were ready.
And we agreed that we wouldn't continue with the program unless we were really enjoying it. And writing this book was I would say, one of the greatest experiences of enjoyment.
Mhm.
And so we learned that about each other, that we like writing together. We've talked about a second book um, without having a deadline or something telling us that it has to be handed in at a certain time. We haven't taken the steps to do it, but um,
But we were skimming the book yesterday and having the thought that, oh, we might have more to say.
right, yeah, after 17 years, and the book was published 16 years ago, but the everything preparing was 17, 18 years ago.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
So, who is this book intended for? Is it intended for people who are struggling in their relationship or for therapists who are working with couples?
I would say the book is for everyone.
Yeah. You were
And
we're aiming to be able to have both audiences
yes,
get something out of this book.
we have had therapists purchase numbers of the book for the people that they teach in their programs. And the book is also helpful for any relationship,
Mhm.
whether it's with a sibling, a friend, a couple, any kind of parent child can be helpful for any relationship.
Oh, really? So it's not just for marriage, it's for
Not
relationships.
Yeah, relationships. Yeah.
Ah.
And I would say that even reflects our relationship with ourselves.
Mhm.
So all relationships.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That brings us to what we integrated about beginning anew. Do you want to say something about that?
Sure. Um, one of the main nuggets of the book is uh, when people are in conflict, uh, the monks and nuns have Thich Nhat Hanh's um, retreat center in Plum Village, France, put together this approach to people talking to each other to get through conflicts. And it's called Beginning Anew. And so we feature that in this book about this is a way to when when things are really bad, this is a way to really work things out.
Because people often ask, is there a skill or is there a formula or what should I do? And beginning anew um, gives us something that we can do. And I think rather than just talking about beginning anew, perhaps we should give an example of how it works. And what I want to also say is we have integrated this what Thich Nhat Hanh has taught into our work as body-centered gestalt psychotherapists. So it's in addition to the therapy that we were already working with people.
Mhm.
So why don't we say a little bit about beginning anew?
Yes.
Let's see. There are three parts to it. And if somebody is in a conflict, in a fight, in this example, we'll talk about a couple's relationship. And the beginning of the process of beginning anew, you decide that you're going to sit down and talk with each other. And that may not be, you may not be able to do that right away. You might need to decide, okay, we're too much in the fight. Let's wait till things are calmer and we're ready to talk to each other. So say David and I have had a fight and we decide, okay, let's sit down and do beginning anew. We would first decide who's going to speak first.
One person talks and the other person just listens.
And the listening person, that's a very important part because oftentimes we don't know how to listen to one another. And the person that's listening is not to interrupt, even if the facts that are presented don't feel true to the other person. So
Which is a skill that whose time has come around again in our entire country.
exactly. So I right now we're not in conflict, but I still want to come up with an example. Um, the first part, I would say three things that I appreciate about David. And I want to add that one time when we were in the midst of a big fight, and I was doing my best to come up with three things. At that moment, the only thing I could think of is that I do happen to like the name David. And that was the best that it could get.
That was it.
That was it.
So you have one thing.
There was nothing else to appreciate about it.
There was this, but because I was really sincere about it, it really shifted the energy.
Mm. It shifted my energy because I just spontaneously felt my heart for how I could see how what you had to go through to be able to say that that you appreciated about me. Because we were both in a terrible place
Right.
and both very angry.
Yes.
And it just shifted things.
So in this example, if I were to say three things to David that I appreciate, what that would accomplish is helping him know that I'm not here just blaming him about the fight. Because oftentimes when couples are in fight, that's what we do. This is what you did, and I'm angry with you, and all the reasons why your partner's the problem. So that opens the possibility that the person can listen because they're not just being blamed. And um, one of the amazing things that I have found, I might have a couple come into my office and I would think, there is no way these people appreciate anything about each other. And I would set up the experiment to do beginning anew. And lo and behold, the person would come and say things they appreciated that I could never imagine they appreciate about their partner. And sometimes they had never, ever even said this to their partner. And that's amazing. I've had people think, well, I never have to apologize or say thank you or anything because this is my husband. As if this isn't the person you would want to be the kindest to.
I'd be thinking that this relationship is hopeless. There's nothing to work with here. Yeah. Total enemies. And have a person just say 3 things they appreciate. It's like, "Oh, wow.
Right. Th-
We've got something to work with here."
So if I actually do this right now, I would say what I appreciate is here after 40 plus years, you're here with me and we're talking about um the book that we wrote. I appreciate that. And I
Uh,
appreciate
can I say something?
yes.
This is a piece of how process works, because if I mean, my response to what you just said was I feel deeply touched, and I can feel what feel like beautiful tears deep down inside of me. And if I have to harden against that and not allow myself to connect to that, the only way to really accomplish that is by having a fight to push you away with your appreciation.
So in this example, we're give and take here, but if we were actually doing the beginning anew, I would say the three things,
Yeah.
and David would be listening. But for teaching purposes, we want to add more about what's happening in the process. So the second thing I would say is I'm also appreciative of you showing up this morning at the town dump because you're running for Board of Education in town and your dedication to that. You had to get up very early and you've been passionate about that.
Mm.
So I appreciate that. And the third thing I appreciate, we had an experience yesterday. David, being part Scottish, tends to hold on to things for a long time. We had two very unsafe ladders, extension ladders, and he was going to change a bulb in our garage. And it was scaring the daylights out of me. He was wanting me to hold the bottom of it. No, 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 no. And um, David was able to let me encourage him to go to Lowe's, and we got a safe ladder. And he took the bad ladders to the dump this morning. So I'm very appreciative of those three things. I didn't realize how frightened I was until we got the new ladder, and it made all the difference. So this is an example. We're just ad-libbing here. Those are the three things that I very much appreciate. And David would be listening, and he probably already would be feeling a decrease in the energy of whatever our fight had been. So
Yeah, because no matter what my complaint is or my protest is in this fight, I'm also having a deep experience of remembering that there's more to our relationship
exactly.
than what my protest is about.
Right. Actually, when people think about what they appreciate, it does activate a different part of the brain.
Mm.
And it's helpful to hold both because if people are doing a lot of fighting, they think that's all there is in the relationship. So the second part of beginning anew would be I would consider what my contribution is to the fight or the difficulty And I can name that because it's almost always the same thing. If David says or does something that I have a reaction to, I react so quick. I don't stop and take a breath. And that's almost always my contribution. I'll react without thinking. And then there it is. We're in the fight. So I'd say probably 99% of the time that's my contribution. And so my job is to learn to stop and take a breath before I react to something. And so that's the second part. And so again, if I'm admitting and acknowledging that I have a contribution, that adds to the safety that's happening in the couple. Again, the person feels like, well, it's not just about me being blamed. She's aware that she's contributing. And that's an important part.
Mhm. 'Cause how wonderful does it feel over on this side to hear you owning that part of you?
Right. Right. Which isn't
There there isn't there isn't just a finger pointing at me,
that's right.
which
And some of us have more we can point the finger at ourselves, so when anybody has any kind of reaction, it even multiplies how we feel that we're the problem.
yeah.
So the third part is where we speak directly about what the conflict is about and what we're angry or hurt about. And the challenge is to say that without blaming, but by naming it from what my feeling is about it rather than what you did. And as therapists, that's the part that we most often have to step in and help couples navigate. Because when they speak directly to what they're angry or upset about or hurt about, it's almost always with a level of blame and they believe that the other person is all at fault. So I can't think of I think of an example of something I might have been upset about. Well, let's say when you're going to use the ladder, and
Right.
because I did have a protest about that, and so saying it from my feelings is, David, I'm aware that when you choose to, I'm happy you want to change the bulb, but when you choose to do it in a way that feels frightening to me, that's very upsetting. I feel my upset about that. And so that would be a way to say it. Um, and that's totally the truth.
This is not but this is not role play.
Very passionate about do not use that letter. Actually, I was not skillful at first. I kept saying, this doesn't look safe. Um, I went on and on about it instead of directly saying what I'm in the way I'm saying it now, which was has a little more skill to it. So that's and oftentimes when someone says that third part, which I just did, I feel better about how I said it because I'm much clearer with myself and I'm letting you know that I was impacted and your response was, how was it hearing that?
Yesterday or today?
Today. I mean,
Today, it just feels wonderful.
yeah, because it can be heard better if it's not coming from the energy of blame.
Yeah.
Yeah. So beginning anew is through our book. At the end of each chapter, we write about a couple that we've created, and each chapter has the next session with this couple, and we lead them through the process of beginning anew. That's not the whole of the therapy, but it's an important part when they feel like they really can't meet each other and resolve a conflict.
Mm. So, my turn.
Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, let me say, if when people are doing beginning anew, sometimes people need the whole day. Like David might need a whole day to consider
Just
what was
consider
said.
what was said, yeah.
Um, sometimes we might just do the first part and all of a sudden it feels like everything is okay. This is not a rigid rule that you have to do it exactly. It's a form to use creatively.
Mhm.
Yeah. And in this case, and often in therapy, people will say, "Oh, yes, I'm ready to do my part."
Mm. Yeah, it's based on being mindful from moment to moment what we're really feeling.
Yeah.
It's not, um, like I was saying, it's not just role playing.
Right.
Um,
So I want to add more thing with my usual contribution of saying things really quickly and fast. Doing beginning anew gives me a chance to slow down and really be more mindful and consider more deeply what I'm expressing and how I'm expressing it. Yeah.
I appreciate that you love me, that you care about whether the ladder I'm gonna go up to the second floor on is safe or not. I think, there's still a place in me that still needs the occasional experience of healing about that I'm more important than the price of a ladder. And there's a place inside of you where it's still that does not totally compute right off the bat. It computes a lot more now that we've been doing this kind of processing for a long time. But there's still a place in me that doesn't automatically assume that. I appreciate that you will take yourself in the direction of what's not necessarily comfortable to you in order to say what you need to say to me. Ooh, it just occurred to me that I deeply appreciate that you want to know what's really true inside. You don't want play acting, role playing for me either. You want to know what I really feel and what I really think about things.
So I just want to speak a bit. For me to take in David's caring is also a place that's not always easy for me because growing up I was criticized and blamed, I'd say severely. And so to take in that kind of loving appreciation, um, it feels wonderful, and I can feel the places of where I have to actually allow myself to take it in.
And I believe all couples work involves some level of just what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old joke, be careful of what you ask for because you might get it. And this process takes you in a direction of really getting what you really wanted. And the part of the joke that's got the truth in it, which all good jokes have, is when you get what you really want, in some ways it's the most difficult thing there is, because then you have to feel something about the difference between getting what you really want versus getting what you always gotten vanilla. And that brings us right up face to face with some feelings that aren't necessarily pleasant feelings. Um, so my second step of beginning new is to acknowledge that it's almost always the same thing for me too. That my contribution to any conflict is the place where I start to feel defensive inside of me. And that too is something that happens in a very small particle of a second, to get defensive, to ward off what I assume is going to be a whole load of blame coming in my direction. And and when I get defensive, I can bring uh, a powerful amount of energy to kind of blasting out a place where I feel like I'm going to be safe. Um, so yesterday I could feel myself getting defensive too about it's like defensive on a couple sides of things. Defensive that I didn't long ago get a brand new ladder. And um in an older place of this feels not just about me, it feels like God knows how many generations of Gilroys would get defensive about spending money. You know, a second-hand ladder is perfectly good, would be the Gilroy motto. Now, how many Gilroys got injured because of that motto is another question. So that's my contribution, usually, and it feels like this time too. I can feel the defensive in me start to, it's like this back up against the wall feeling.
So what part of what you're saying again as teaching is that you can start to be blaming you that you should have done this before.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's like a self-contained.
You're protecting it against being blamed, but it's already happening inside.
It's a whole self-contained movie. It
That's
doesn't
right.
require any interaction.
But if there was, you'd be saying something about when I said X, Y, or Z, it touched your feeling of X, Y, or Z. And I don't know if this is possible, but in my not being as skilled as I was in this interaction, I might have been coming from a "What's the matter with you?" using that stupid ladder energy.
Mhm. To which my third step would be when you approach me with that energy that feels like it's got some blame to it. Um,
Like, you're frightening me. Using that ladder, you're frightening me, like blaming you for frightening me.
Yeah. Yeah. That touch. I don't want to be giving you too much fuel for what you might be angry about. You would be sorry that you did this. You did this podcast with me. But to stay with that, my third step would have been when you come at me with some blame energy, it touches my feeling of defensiveness and anger. And here's where there's a place inside of me where I feel like I want to get out the heavy weapons.
Mom. Yeah. In our experience, because we've been married a long time and we've been doing beginning anew for a long time, no matter how bad the fight, we do have a place of faith that we know sooner or later we'll be able to work through it and do beginning anew. But that isn't always the case with people that come to see us, and it takes time to experience it and have it be a part of what you can go to when things can feel pretty hopeless. And it's very important that it not be done when you're not ready, because then people are just being say, "Oh, I appreciate blah blah blah," and they wouldn't really be healing anything or doing beginning anew. So we always caution people to only when you feel ready. Like we've had a couple of times when it took a couple of days before we felt we ready that we could seriously, or other times we started and it was going nowhere. This isn't the right time.
So I would say every trip through the beginning and new process and every trip through couples therapy involves boy, must be very something I feel very passionate about because it just went straight out of my head.
Yeah.
So give me a minute.
Yep.
It's not going to come right now. Usually, often when I pause like that, my blankness evaporates and I know what I wanted to say.
Well, if it comes back,
Yeah.
we'll get to it. Um, the other piece in talking about how this is about all relationships, we've done some of our in some of our training workshops, people have done beginning anew with a deceased parent, for example. And so that whole process, you can think of, what you would want to say that you appreciate, what you feel you contributed to what perhaps was unfinished with the parent before they passed, and to also form the words of what you felt hurt or angry about. So that's
It just came back.
okay.
This process, every time, at least for me, and I think for a lot of people, involves when I have a feeling, say I have a feeling of defensiveness. That's where my blame can come in. I can hold you responsible for my defensiveness and vice versa.
Hmm.
And so one of the main things to learn through this process is my feelings are something I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
And I'm not responsible for your feelings. That
Oh, darn.
there's a little kid inside of me that does not compute.
Right.
Of course I'm responsible
Yeah.
for your feelings.
Right.
Because that's how that was literally beaten into me.
Right. Yeah, we can touch feelings in one another. Certainly, we have a contribution, but we're not responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody got any more questions?
Well, I was just gonna wonder that if this conversation feels complete.
Let me think a minute. Mhm. Something came to mind. I don't know how this fits in here, but since Jane Goodall has passed, and I've listened to a couple of her podcasts and ones that she prepared that she suggested not be put out until she passed. She gives some examples of how her mother responded to her when she was a little girl, which fits with beginning anew. So I just want to name one example. When she was about 3 years old, between 3 and 4, she took a whole bunch of earthworms and put them in her bed. And when her mom came in to
Along with the dirt.
along with the dirt, and her mom, being this wonderful mom, said, "Oh, it looks like you're trying to understand how they can move without legs." And she said that if her mom had yelled at her and blamed her and told her she did something horrible, she might never have become the scientist, nature person that she was. And so she gave a few examples, and I feel like that fits with the energy um, of what we help people to develop,
Mm,
of having that consciousness and connecting to your heart and not just coming out with the anger and the blame. And so that example just touched me so deeply.
mm.
Of love meeting curiosity.
Yes, and I must say when my kids were little, I did not have that level of consciousness. I and I still don't have it to the extent that I believe Jane's mom did, but that's something I aspire to.
And that uh, trips something in me about when we're doing beginning anew. Um, we're not doing beginning anew just for ourselves. We're um, we're healing something probably from any number of generations back.
Exactly.
And so none of us show up in a relationship and it's just us.
Right.
How about now?
Yeah, this feels like a
Yeah.
good place to start.
So my last question is, where would I go to get this book?
Ooh,
The book is available through Hartford Family Institute. So I think on our site is the phone number. Is it on our podcast?
We can put that there, I believe.
Yep. And so people can call and order the book through Hartford Family Institute.
Wonderful.
it's a sweet little book.
It is. It's not very thick. It's meat and potatoes.
There's a lot in it, and that's rereading it ourselves. We actually liked it.
Well, it's been wonderful talking with you today. Thank you
Just
so much.
Thank you.